Last year's OnePlus 10 Pro is set to be replaced by the OnePlus 11. There wasn't a OnePlus 10 last year, and there isn't going to be a OnePlus 11 Pro this year. So in short, things are getting an awful lot simpler. For the company, this is the focus of all their attention, all of their research budget, everything. It all goes into this one single device, it seems. Leaks meant we knew exactly what to expect from the OnePlus 11 before it even got here. We knew we were going to get a similarly big, luscious screen, probably improved cameras, even the return of the alert slider. There weren't that many surprises for us here. Actually, the biggest surprise might be the fact that OnePlus has reduced the price again for its biggest, newest flagship phone. The OnePlus 11 will launch at $699, so it's a return to form for the company that made its name through well-priced, well-spec'd smartphones. However, the OnePlus 11 launches the same week as the dominant player in Android, Samsung, reveals an entire family of phones. Samsung has a phone that's both smaller than the OnePlus 11 and phones that are bigger. However, they're all more expensive. Fortunately, however, the OnePlus 11 has one trick to stand out from all the other Android smartphones. It has incredible 100-watt fast charging. But first, let's take a closer look at the phone. OnePlus has made some design changes again this year. It says it's drawing inspiration from sports cars, and it has actually collaborated with McLaren in the past, as well as Swiss watches. Apparently those collaborations and inspiration led to this unibody slab with a stainless steel camera array. There's some fine detail around the edge of the camera pop-out, but otherwise it's just another camera pop-out, to be honest. Fortunately, the metal bezel protrudes slightly more than the camera glass, which should help avoid scratches. I'll admit initially I thought it was a little bit too big and ostentatious, but putting it alongside the Pixel 7 Pro and its giant shiny Cyclops bar, and it doesn't look too bad, to be honest. The OnePlus 11 also answers several pleas from the OnePlus faithful. Yes, it marks the return of the alert slider. This hasn't been on OnePlus's flagship phones for a little bit, and the company said this was due to constraints within the size of the phone, promising that it would make a return eventually. Eventually is apparently 2023. It's a metal slider just above the power button where you can switch between ringtones, vibration, or outright silence. While I'm sure plenty of vocal OnePlus fans are happy to see the alert slider back, what about the rest of us? Well, me personally, I don't really need an alert slider. My phone pretty much stays always on silent because I believe I'm a nice human being. However, if you're often switching between busy environments where you actually need a ringtone, maybe a phone with an alert slider is for you. The phone comes in a glossy green-grey option called Eternal Green, and that's the one I have here in UK, and it also comes in a kind of glittery, shimmery black option as well, which has a kind of matte finish to it. That's called Titan Black. It's also very good at hiding fingerprints and smudges. Unfortunately, the same can't be said of the glossy green one that I'm playing with that seems to just pick up absolutely every touch and fingerprint from these pores. Whichever color you do choose, both comes with a incredibly gorgeous 6.7-inch OLED display, running at 2048 by 1080 resolution. It can also reach the heady heights of 120Hz yet again. However, this time, OnePlus has introduced some upgrades to its always-on display. Now, the phone, when it's on standby mode, will be able to project your clock and notifications at just 1 Hz. That should mean less battery use when you use the always-on display. OnePlus even claims that compared to a typical 30 Hz always-on display, OnePlus 11's always-on display should use up to 40% less energy. Of course, it's not really using that much energy to begin with because it's always on display and only shows a little bit of detail, but it could add up to battery savings along the way. Aside from those possible power savings, the screen is otherwise identical to the OnePlus 10 Pro, and that's not a bad thing. OnePlus always delivers pretty nice screens, even if the price tag may be hundreds of dollars below flagship devices. Let's move on to the cameras. Not only does the camera array look different, it's actually made up of different camera sensors as well. The OnePlus 11's main camera this time around is a 50 megapixel primary sensor with an f1.8 aperture. That may sound similar to last year's OnePlus 10 Pro, however, it's a bigger sensor, which means it should offer more detail and take in more light. That primary sensor works alongside a 115 degrees of view ultra wide 48 megapixel sensor that's also able to pull double duty as a macro camera. The bigger changes start from here. This time OnePlus has gone for a larger resolution 32 megapixel telephoto camera sensor. Last year, it was a bit of a measly 8 megapixel sensor, but that could reach 3.2 times optical zoom. However, this year it only reaches 2 times optical zoom. Which one is the better solution? While I didn't have last year's 10 Pro to compare directly, the OnePlus 11's telephoto photos do seem more detailed and just less muted. I think the fact is it's using a better sensor, even if the range of zoom isn't quite there. Obviously, you're able to crop to a similar degree of 3.2 times zoom, but that's a digital zoom, so you are losing some data and some of the picture as you do it. OnePlus is calling its entire camera array here its third generation Hasselblad camera. Yes, there's Hasselblad branding yet again, and you still have those surprisingly compelling filters you can use on your photos and videos. There's also a Hasselblad Pro mode to tinker with extra settings if you're really into that kind of thing. While the camera is much improved, you can check out some of our samples in this video and in our full review, it still doesn't quite reach the heady heights of the pinnacle of smartphone photography, whether that's an iPhone 14 Pro, the S22 or S23 Ultra from Samsung, or the Pixel 7 Pro. It is, however, a better camera than the 10 Pro. The OnePlus 11 seems to do its best work in a street photography landscape setting, where it's able to punch in, zoom, and just take in everything at once. I was pleasantly surprised as to how much data was still retained in that zoom if I moved beyond 2 times optical zoom. As I said, there is a Pro mode, so you can dabble in raw editing, but I was more than happy with the JPEGs I was getting. When it comes to video, the OnePlus 11 also has an AI highlight video mode. OnePlus says this uses image processing to maintain even levels of exposure when recording video and shifting between different areas with different lighting. I tested it out on a sunny afternoon on a bridge, but I didn't get to see much tangible benefits in overexposure. A little bit later, I did try it out in darker settings, and it seems to work a little bit better in those situations, but it's odd that in 2023, this is the standout software feature from OnePlus. Normally they have a few more tricks to show off. One trick that is still around is OnePlus's HyperBoost gaming engine, a way of augmenting certain compatible games with the OnePlus 11's newest processor. It also uses machine learning to try and balance performance along with energy efficiency. The caveat here is that it's only compatible with major mobile titles like Genshin Impact. It's also hard to tell whether it offers a discernible impact on gamers when so many other phones are similarly spec'd and offer pretty much the same experience. Fortunately, the OnePlus 11 is powered by Qualcomm's very latest processor, the Snapdragon 8 Gen 2. It's powerful, sure, but the bigger benefits with this Gen 2 chip may be power savings. According to Qualcomm itself, the Adreno GPU, the graphics unit, can offer up to 45% better power efficiency, meaning, again, the battery should last longer. And thanks to the 5000 mAh battery, that's true, the OnePlus 11, yet again for the OnePlus series, offers a pretty decent battery life. In my rundown test playing a loop video, I got over 18 hours of playback, which is pretty impressive. I'm doing another battery rundown test as I record this, so make sure to check out the full review at Engadget.com, where I'll be averaging all those battery rundown scores together. And now we get to my favorite part of the phone. The OnePlus 11 can charge so incredibly fast, it's borderline disgusting. 100-watt charging is here, the kind of wattage you normally get when charging laptops. There's a compatible charger in the box and the cable, and you will need both because there's proprietary technology here, which means that's the only way you'll be able to hit those heady, high charging speeds. And it's fast. OnePlus says it takes around 25 minutes to reach a full charge from zero, and my tests here so far while reviewing the phone bear out similar figures. But what's even more compelling is the ability to plug it in for 10 minutes and get pretty much 50% of your battery back. It's not all good news, however. Despite this being OnePlus's flagship phone, there's no wireless charging here. But for me, I'd always take lightning fast wired charging over the possibility of wireless charging, which is still generally incredibly slow. The OnePlus 11 has a great screen and much improved cameras, and that fast charging is a revelation. However, that fast charging spec is pretty much the only exciting thing that OnePlus is bringing to the table this year. The question is that going to be enough to make you make the switch from a different phone maker or even an old OnePlus phone? At $699 with 8 gigs of memory and 128 gigs of storage, that is $100 less than last year's flagship from OnePlus. It's a much better deal, and that could be the deciding factor. The OnePlus 11 sits in an unusual position where it's cheaper than the main flagship phones, but still a little bit more expensive and a little bit more premium than mid-range phones like the Pixel 6a. In a lot of ways, you get the best of both worlds, but in a landscape dominated by only a few smartphone players, I just wish OnePlus was doing a little bit more to distinguish itself. Thanks for watching. Make sure to check out our full review over at Engadget.com, and don't forget to subscribe for all the very latest tech news from the team at Engadget. I'll see you soon.